Okay, guys, welcome to another session of Bytes Talks, the latest version or latest episode in our sequence. Today, it's all about license dashboard, key to my heart. I know it's key to Sean's heart, but just way of introduction, I'm joined here today by Sean Robinson and Nick Hallam from Bytes Technology Group. Sean, do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Hi, I'm Sean Robinson, I'm the founder and license dashboard director. We developed the product about 21 years ago and still here today.
Super. Nick?
I'm Nick Hallam. I'm one of the senior leadership team in the services division. I've got a history in delivery, so I tend to push Sean quite hard to get that tool moving and to help me deliver to our customers.
Super. Thanks, guys. Today, Sean's very happy. We're going to talk all things license dashboard. Just to talk about that a little bit more before I've got some poignant questions for you. Obviously, license dashboard, that was a key component of Phoenix. Bytes, I think as everyone knows, purchased Phoenix in 2018. Get my maths right. From my perspective, when we purchased Phoenix, license dashboard was clearly one of the key reasons why that organisation was attractive to us as an organisation to really enhance our service offering out to market. Again, it's something that we've been developing closely, Sean. We've been integrating into our proposition. And really what I was keen to do today was really to explore, probably start with you, Sean. What is the potted history of license dashboard for people who don't know what license dashboard is? What is the potted history of license dashboard? Where's it come from? What have been the ups and downs? What are the challenges that you've been faced with? And why do you think it's become so successful?
Well, 21 years ago is a long time ago now. And with regards to ITAM at the time, software asset management was just a very small byproduct of what that service delivered. And as a consequence, and many people didn't bother with the software asset management requirement. They would implement the technology, the tools, scan everything that was on their network and understand the life cycle of the hardware, the time with physical servers, laptops, desktops, all of those sort of things. But it became very clear that actually one of the most expensive parts of IT asset management was the software that was deployed on a device. And as you know, at that time, you didn't get taken to court because you had too many PCs or not enough PCs. You got taken to court because you hadn't got the right licenses assigned to the software that was deployed on those assets. And at the time, a lot of the vendors were, starting to approach customers and ask them to demonstrate that they were able to do that. And, one of the things which we saw very quickly, most of them couldn't. There were tools out there at the time, particularly things like Express Metrics, Centennial. In fact, Centennial was probably the leading inventory tool at the time, and it was doing really well. Yet again, they were challenged because they didn't have a software asset management capability assigned to that. So we saw an opportunity to help customers to take the investment that they're already made, things like Centennial and Express Metrics, and connect to that data source, bring that data source out and start to enrich it, analyze it, and determine exactly what those licenses were on that tool. And at the first time we did this, it was with an Excel spreadsheet, and then very quickly went to being an Access database. And then as soon as people wanted to buy the application and wanted to interface it, we had to be serious and made significant investment into developing a tool that was able to do that and going forward. So, and that's what we're still doing today in many respects. The world has changed, but we're still doing that today.
But you're targeting a specific niche in the market, right?
Yeah.
So there's a set of customers in the market that are not looking for the shiny product with the big name and the sales reps that can come and sell you the dream.
Yeah.
I think a license dashboard is particularly concerned with making sure that we provide value to our customers in the areas that they're looking for. Is that right?
Absolutely. Some people call us a boutique. And the reason for that, like any boutique, really focuses on making sure that the customer gets the value. If they come into a boutique shop, they get the personal touch. We go into a lot of detail about what they actually want. And consequently, we then determine whether the license dashboard is a good fit for them. the one thing that you made there is that, many of our competitors and things like that who came on a lot later, we're also trying to chuck the baby out with the bathwater. What we said is, no, you've made some significant investment into the asset management tools and the inventory tools. All we want to do is basically interface into that investment and extend it. And that's what we've done and why we've been so successful. We have over 80 technical alliances now with some of the leading asset management and software asset management companies in the world. We 9 times out of 10 we're interfacing into Microsoft's configuration tools. We're constantly developing connections to a multitude of different types of data sources these days. As soon as Microsoft transitioned from being on-prem to moving into the cloud, the proprietary tools that they had have all changed. And so every day we're creating connectors, and those connectors have been ingested into the license manager, where it's all enriched and gives us exactly what we need, which is, what licenses do I need? How do I assign those? Have I got enough of those? And since the ever-changing world, now it's all about, am I spending too much? Have I got the right amount of licenses, and or have I got too many? Which, to be honest, most organisations are over licensed because they don't have the visibility.
And I think you made some really good points there, and the key phrase was the world has changed. And I think anyone listening to this podcast will know that the advent of cloud, SaaS applications, per user licensing, the world of shadow IT, where users are far more tech savvy in today's world. How have you started to overcome those changes? Just from my perspective, looking at all the other technologies that have come since, they are really struggling in that space to find that level of control and find that value and be forward-looking rather than, what happened yesterday.
Yep.
How are you guys working in, with industry to try and address some of those challenges?
It's a really good question, and as the challenges have evolved, from on-prem and into the cloud, end user device usage, multiple different devices, tablets, mobile phones, and all of this thing. The beauty about our technology is when we first developed it, we realized there were other people out there that were better at scanning and doing an inventory and doing the asset management. What we were specialists in was the ability to take that data that had already been collected and be able to get insights so that we can make strategic decisions based on the outcomes that we'd produce. As the technology evolves, vendors now create their own proprietary tools to monitor the things like how many licenses do you need to assign. They give you the tools now to, particularly around SaaS, they give you the tools to ensure that you can effectively manage the assignment of a license to a user. But as you know, the tools then and the products that come with those tools, the software still resides and gets deployed onto the network. So naturally, the source of our unique selling point, if you like, is that we're using connectors and multiple connectors to grab all of that data together to make a decision on what exactly the organization needs to do and how they need to reduce their license requirements and optimize their costs. So the process of creating connectors is still very valid. If you look at things like Adobe Cloud, now they have the proprietary tools that help you manage the license assignment. So we just create a connector and click connect into there. So we leave the inventory and the consumption monitoring to the experts, to the individuals who have got this, the capability of doing that. And they leave really the software asset management requirements to us because they know that we've got that expertise. So it's naturally evolved. It was funny, really, when we came to the point in time where everybody was going to say that we're going to transition to the cloud. Here we go. We're going to move. We're going to migrate all of our workloads into the cloud. And everybody says that's the end of software asset management. We don't need it anymore. But how wrong everybody was. As soon as you migrate things into the cloud, you still need to measure it, you still need to consume it, you need to make sure that you're using it, because if you don't do this, you're just going to continue to spend money on things that remain idle or are underutilized or switched on all year and only one person's ever used it. But every penny, every hour, you get charged for that. So again, by us interfacing into all of these existing tools that are out there and the new ones that are coming out, we continue just to grow our ability to really manage those challenges.
So the adjacent benefit here is, from a process point of view, is that if you've got 50 SaaS applications,
yes,
then your SAM or ITAM operation would need to have 50 logins.
Yeah.
They would have to log into those 50 times to get the full vision of what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that person that created those logins could potentially move on somewhere else for an alternative career opportunity. And in those cases, you might lose the login, you might lose the opportunity to go in and do this. So the adjacent win here is that there's a single pane of glass.
Yeah.
And also, you're not asking the client to deploy anything within their environment that they haven't already got in place.
Absolutely. And that is the unique thing here, is that the speed to value for an organization is incredibly quick. We implement the technology, the platform. We then have a ability to offer a number of different ways that the data is ingested. The speed in which that can occur can be overnight. The multiple connections that we can have to a customer, they just don't see it. It just feels like it's one giant inventory solution out there that's monitoring the whole of their environment. And all of that data comes in, it's enriched, it's cleansed, and it's presented to the end user. And obviously within that as well, we don't just sort of identify what's deployed, we also identify what license type you need, what metric is this going to be required. So when data comes in, if you have a SQL server, knowing it's installed is one thing, but understanding what is the license requirement for that. How many cores of licenses do I need? Is it on a hypervisor environment? Is there mobility? All of those challenges. In inventory tools today, they're just telling you it's there. With our solution, we interrogate it, try to understand how it's been deployed, and we look to see how best to license that based on what licenses you've acquired. There was a day when someone said to me, what is the best inventory to go out and buy? And the best inventory solution is the one that basically identifies all of the software that you need. It can be £1 a device, or it can be a 20. They all do the same thing, which is tell you it's there. And so with our solution, we're able to really interrogate and look to see how best to license it based on what agreement you have. And the speed we can do that is so quick.
So, I mean, that's a great pitch, Sean. Really great pitch.
Yeah.
I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Let's just assume that we've established that License Dashboard is the best tool.
Yes.
How do you stop the best tool becoming shelfware? How do you engage with the client to get this?
I think that's the real key question here. I mean, we've all been here in the software asset management field for a long time, and this is a tough question, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just in software asset management, in inventory. Lots of tools collect lots of data. And I would say, to your point, Nick, a lot of them become shelfware very, very quickly.
Yeah.
How are we helping customers stop that happening? Otherwise, it's just wasted investment.
It's a really good question. The reason something becomes shelfware is usually people don't have time to maintain and administrate it, And you might find when someone implements it, it starts to go really well, but that person leaves and they find it difficult to find someone to replace that individual with the same level of skills and competency. The other thing which we also find is that most tools on the market don't deliver the value and don't meet the expectations. Now that's not
oversold.
Yes, absolutely. And it's not because they fail to do the discovery. They don't fail to have the capability to assign license. It's having the support of a partner that really helps and mentors that organization to success. So one of the things that License Dashboard has always done is always chosen its partners really well. Someone like Bytes, who constantly innovates, who constantly delivers high-level services to its customers, is a perfect fit for License Dashboard. You implement the technology is then used by the end user, but there is a team of people, particularly license specialists, because it's not usually the failure of them being able to use the technology. You can click on buttons. It's trying to work out how to do something within the tool. I always remember when I got Excel and I looked at it and there was a load of cells on the thing and I started writing a letter in it. And someone came to me, "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm writing a letter in Excel." And he says, "That's not the tool." And this is what we find a lot. People are misusing the technologies and many of the competitive tools as well. What you need is guidance. You need that support. And more importantly, you need that mentoring. What we find with an organization like Bytes is when the customer gets to a problem and say, "How do I manage my enterprise agreement within your technology?" The people who work within Bytes know the enterprise agreement inside out. They know the terms, they know how it works, they know the contractual obligations, they have a full support team technically around there to understand how things get deployed. And all of that is essential to making sure that your software asset management program works. And that's how we've stayed relevant and why we're so successful.
So Nick, you're one of those guys who works at Bytes, so am I. I guess you're closer to that delivery engine. From your perspective, the services that come from your team, is that enhancing customers from a time to value perspective? Is it helping customers obtain more value from the technology? And how are you helping them think about how are we going to address some of the corporate challenges that we have today, whether that be cost containment, governance, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I think it's an age-old argument, and if you've been in the SAM field for a while, you've heard it said a lot of times that SAM tools are not the silver bullet. You always need to have a partner or a human on the other end of the tool to get best value from it. I suppose with License Dashboard in particular, what we're trying to prove is that you need the minimum amount of partner and effort in order to get your return on investment, and some of the other tools, whilst maybe being equally capable, require more effort for you to be able to drive that tool to get that investment. Also, License Dashboard is particularly well sculpted for a managed service, and this is something that I'm seeing a lot in, hopefully you are too.
Yeah, definitely.
Customers are no longer really looking for a tool and a service to help them with the tool. Customers are now looking for outcomes. So a client in the past, in 6 years ago, 5 years ago, may well have come to you, Dan, and said, "Oh, I've got a problem. I can't see what I've got deployed in my environment. I really don't know what to do." And our approach back then would have been, "No problem. Here's a tool. By the way," and we'd roll out that hackneyed statement again, "You always need someone on the other end of the tool. Let us provide a service for you to drive the tool." I'd say now customers are coming saying, "I need Microsoft, for example, to be managed. How do you deliver a service where I can be confident that I am compliant and optimally using my software?"
Okay, that's really interesting. So you're seeing customers not coming to you and asking you, say, "Hey, have you got a technology that can help me with X?" They're saying, "How can you deliver an outcome that drives that value?"
Absolutely, it's an outcome solution product rather than the opposite way around. And I'd say that switch has happened in the last 5 years, 6 years. It's been driven an awful lot by SaaS. So SaaS is now you pay per user per month. So if you've got 100 users this month, you pay for 100 users. You've got 80 users. If you're doing your job right, you'd pay for 80 users next month. However, if you take a traditional managed service and a tool, you would have committed to that tool for 3 years, and you'd be paying for an annual managed service on that tool, right? And then you've got the problem of not necessarily a problem, the challenge of making sure that the service is delivering what you were expecting. Now customers are saying, "No, I want to achieve SAM. I want to achieve Microsoft Confidence, for example, but I want to do that by paying X amount per head in my business, and out of that, I want this outcome." And it's actually, from a service delivery perspective, it's a lot simpler because I I don't fall into the habit of trying to deliver a series of individual tasks. Actually, I can make this managed service a contiguous, continual engagement with the client. And my main outcome is to make sure that that client feels that they've achieved their outcome. Yeah. A lot simpler than saying, here's a tool, press go. Oh, isn't it working for you?
I think that's you've touched on a really important point. You know, one of the things that License Dashboard has always done is develop the technology not only to deploy on a customer site, but also to be used in to underpin a service that we deliver. From day one, License Dashboard has been developed by licensed specialists. So the development teams which we have are constantly in communication with licensed specialists, and every single day licensing is changing, as you know, and it's getting more complex, and therefore the rules have to be defined on a day-to-day basis, and they have to be updated into the interface on a regular basis. The other thing with that is that, you know, when your guys are utilizing the tool and they are hitting challenges within customers' environments, the speed in which we can respond to that challenge, because we've got not only the specialists in the front line identifying exactly what that challenge is, and they also come with the rules and the boundaries in which that challenge has to be managed in. And then very quickly, our developers are able to then create the code that resolves to that and quickly release that code so that the customer can gain that value. But more importantly, your team are constantly finding that the tool is up to date, it's meeting the challenges of today, and being able to have the confidence to deliver work to the customer, and knowing that the data that's been presented to them and the reconciliations and the value you talk about, which is in today significant cost savings. I mean, that's what everybody wants, and you need to be able to evidence that. And by utilizing the tool to do that, you can, because the rules are clear and defined and can be audited, if you like. So you've got that full audit trail.
Really interesting. You say that licensing is always changing, and
Yeah.
you know, I know that's true. You know that's true. I'm really confident that's going to continue to be true for well, certainly whilst I'm around. If we lift the sort of the periscope, if you like, a little bit and see, well, what's next?
Yeah.
What do we see as the big challenges? Let's go around a little bit.
Where
do we think? What's the big challenge? What's the next one?
Here's one of the big benefits, actually. So there are many benefits of engaging with a tool that is delivered by a global machine. One of these big tools that can go out there. They've got a very good marketing engine, very good sales engine. They've got a history that they can present to you. I'd say that the challenge with those bigger tools is that how do you influence development? How do you influence where that tool is going to go next? So if you've committed to that big tool and the tool then develops to the left of where you want to go, perhaps you want to step right, perhaps you've got a bigger SaaS environment than you used to have, and the tool set that you've committed for 3 years to is currently focusing on-prem and maybe open source or something else, right? So how do you influence that? And I'd say that that's one of the big wins here with License Dashboard. And Dan will know about it. We have this poker game. And I'm hoping Sean doesn't mind me bringing this up. And this poker game is where we sit in a room, we bring our delivery leads into the room, and these are people that are talking to clients day in, day out. They can see the challenges that are happening as they happen. We bring in our sales, our people that are heading up the sales. They can understand what the client is asking for from a commercial perspective. We all sit in a room with the License Dashboard developers, and we play a poker game where we all present what we would like to be next on the backlog, the developer backlog. We have a little vote. We all see who's got the strongest hand, and then there are some vetoes that we can play as well, and there are some ace cards that you can play to push yours to the top of the list. The win here is that if you can see something, as Sean said earlier, the agility that we can move with license dashboard, it's we're not moving, we're not turning a juggernaut. Yeah, this is much quicker. This is a, I mean, it sounds awful. It's not a Ferrari. Let's not say that, but it is a much smaller vehicle that is equally capable of getting from A to B, but we can stop it, turn it on a sixpence, and move it in the direction that we need it to go in.
And I'm really proud, and I love the way that you've articulated that, because it's very true. One of the biggest problems we find with a lot of our customers who we engage with, who have bought tools, competitive tools, one of their comments that they already say is that they like the fact that those competitors are running down the road, looking at what the next shiny thing is, what is next for the customers. But I have to say, there are still many challenges on premise. There are many organizations, and I'm saying about 90% of those organizations still have challenges in managing license assignment to software that's deployed. And as licensing gets more complex, as they try to improve contracts to ensure that they have a better commercial model set up, all that does is it creates more challenges on-prem. And one of the things we've always done is look at the on-prem requirement, look to see where the customers are going, work with our customers to time that well, and work with them, and offer a more hybrid type of service platform where the expertise that your guys have had for 30 years still plays today in that technology and delivering the value. But then the new shiny things, which are all in the cloud, and all of these new things which are going to be related to AI and are going to create a multitude of different challenges, all of that, we can develop, but with our customers, not trying to get excited about what's down the road. We work together to.
Do you know what we've just done as well? I think we've been watching too many election debates. Right?
Yeah.
Dan asked us what was next. We've both described how we get to what's next.
I want to know
but
what's
not
next.
what is next.
Yeah.
Come on, now I'm going to put you guys on the spot.
Yeah.
Look forward 1 year, maybe 18 months. What do you think are the big challenges that technologies like License Dashboard and the whole industry are going to have to solve? What are those big things? You can't just say AI. Well, you've got to come up with something a bit more specific. Come on.
I'm not gonna say AI. I'm getting a bit bored of AI. It's a bit last year now. I think I've got to work out what's this year. BI. I've heard people saying BI is the next one.
Yeah.
We'll work out what that is. I think two things come to mind. SaaS management continues to be a challenge, mainly because there are many different aspects to it. So there's an element of the unknown unknowns. You don't know what's out there, so how do you know to manage it in the first place? Secondly, once you do get a vision of it, what do you do with it? How do you manage it? There's so many different aspects. There's a license optimization, there's access, there's security, there's data security. So many different layers with SaaS. And the problem is there's not one single data source to go to get that from. I think that's going to be a big challenge. I think we've already thrown those over the fence.
Yeah.
I'm sure the dev team are busy trying to work out what that is. I suppose the second one that for me is around open source. Mm-hmm. And this is a bit of Sean hasn't heard this from me yet, but it's on the next sprint review. So open source presents an existential challenge to businesses. It forms a part of software that you buy. But how do you know that? So when you buy software type A, how do you know that software type A has got open source 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 under the hood doing all of the work? And how do you know that those elements are managed, maintained, up to date, and don't have any security CVVs sitting on the background? I think there's a potential big issue as we go forward because of the worry with data and data security. How do we make sure that we're securing that? For me, that's probably going to be around software bill of materials, SBOMs. I think vendors will be encouraged to, when you buy a piece of software, that the vendor will have to declare to you a bill of materials, what's sitting underneath that so that you can manage it individually. but there will also be a need for the business to go and find out for itself what is sitting underneath the hood, and then that needs to be managed in exactly the same way that you would manage any other piece of software.
Yeah.
Good luck with that, Sean.
I'd say, yeah, it's going to be there's lots of challenges, but I think, one of the key things are we've got the right experts who we can work with and define those. One of the things which I'm seeing very quickly is things like multi-cloud mobility. So once upon a time, people used to choose which brand they were going to go with, AWS, Azure, Google. And what we're finding at the moment is that many organizations will choose the platform and the infrastructure that best meets their needs. So they've got a combination of all of these types of solutions. And people like Microsoft are looking at how they can enable those platforms to deliver great Microsoft solutions and things like that. And with that, though, there needs to be some concern over the mobility and how licenses move around, or how things are charged on a variable spend. You've got pay as you go. How do the saving plans get consumed on a multi-platformed environment? And it's interesting, really, because everybody talks about we're all moving and migrating to the cloud. We've seen many organizations go to the cloud and then come back, and Microsoft are offering capabilities to do that, and particularly around their licensing model with hybrid benefits and things like that. But more importantly, things like Azure Arc, where now you can consume some of your workload that is on-prem, as well as the compute that's in the cloud, and you can switch it all backwards and forwards. And so that's a major area that I think is going to evolve over a period of time. And I think even looking at the modern workplace, and over the last few years, we've seen a radical change in how we manage the licenses. People using them at home, using the software at home on devices. The whole world's changed now. It's very rare that you actually find people in the office that are working from home. Tools like Intune have really enabled the ability to provision software very quickly to those end users and things like that. And that technology is growing all the time. Things like the Azure virtual devices that are running and being consumed in Azure, and the ability to get access to their applications through those virtual devices, and the speed of that. What we're seeing very quickly with the amount of savings we're making now, and we've been working with some Bytes customers at the moment where through that Azure virtual devices, we can save them up to 60% on their spend by auto-scaling, by looking at schedule scaling, looking at even things like reservations, saving plans, and bring your own license sort of thing. All of that is radically changing, and it's really exciting. And actually, most of the consultants who are delivering services to the customer, that's where they love to be at the moment. And because you just generally see the customer smile when they realize that there is a way to maximize not only the productivity to the end users, but also to really only pay for what you're actually consuming, which is where everybody wants to get to.
And again, really interesting. And it leads me to another, let's call it an observation, which I've held for a very long time, that we talk about savings, we talk about the value of IT asset management in general, whether you're managing software, hardware, cloud spend, SaaS. But an observation I have is that customers still really struggle to get executive buy-in, to get budget aligned, to effectively get a good IT asset management program off the ground. So I guess, Nick, I can come to you first. If you were sitting there talking to a customer right here, right now, and they were asking advice on where do I start, how do I get the buy-in, how do I get this up the food chain, in terms of the value that we can add to the organizations, the savings we can map into, where does a customer start?
So I suppose, Dan, at the first step is to admit that you've got a problem. So you've got to know that there's a problem and admit you've got a problem. I think the second step is to engage with people that you can trust to give you a steer in the right direction. I would hope that the vast majority of customers have got partners that they've worked with for a while. They should heavily lean on their partner to steer them, especially if it's completely greenfield for them. If they haven't engaged in this before, then allow somebody else to lead them by the hand, at least for the beginning. I think setting some very specific requirements for the first year of any managed service or a function is key. So, we need to set some KPIs in there. We need to make sure that there is some return on investment commitment. And to assist you in that, let's not try and make this a straight line from 0 to hero. Let's try and make that line bumpy. Yeah, let's try and give you a quick win that you can report to your boss very quickly. And hopefully that quick win will give you the ROI on the tool and the service immediately, take the pressure off of you to be able to then look within your business and start to be more strategic now that you've already paid for the service. So I'd say that's probably the best way to go.
Sean, where would you go?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of people go to Gartner, Forrester, and they start their journey there where they look at, what are the key things that they should be looking for, which are the best tools on the market and things like that. Too often or not, people go off and run out and buy a tool that's in the magic quadrant. And the problem is there, you're trying to then align a tool's capability back to your needs.
That's your outcome.
So you need to start the other way around. You need to look at what is it, what are the problems, what are the issues, and do a deep dive. You need to interview the key stakeholders, the business managers, and understand exactly what they want. And then you have to understand what is the timescale, what is the budget, what could be achieved, what are the most important things to ensure that their business operates effectively, legally, but with great productivity that just generates in their mind a lot of profit. And ultimately, that's what that business needs. So by assessing and understanding those needs and mapping that to a set of requirements that's detailed, a plan, the tool that you end up or the service you buy will be the best tool you buy. And hopefully, we align to that. But we're honest, if we can't deliver that and we can't achieve those goals, you'll be first to know. And so we will work heavily with you to ensure that we do. Because the most important thing here is that you're not just buying a tool or a service, you're entering into a partnership that delivers amazing value. And that's not just to the executive, but to those end users, where through being able to invest and innovate and buy the right technology, they're going to be happier. They're going to be working much more productive as well. And all of that matters.
For me, that's the key takeaway here, I think, Dan, of our conversation is that this isn't about License Dashboard. This isn't about Bytes. This is about a partnership that can help you deliver an outcome. Yeah, and I think that's exactly where we're going here. Right, LD can be used in very different ways. Bytes as a partner can help in very, very different ways. But actually joining them together is the epitome of a win.
Well, listen, guys, thanks so much for joining me. I've really been interesting. Love spending time with you guys as always. For the listeners, I guess if they've got any questions, want to, extend the conversation, please reach out to the Bytes account manager, I guess is the answer. Secure some time with Nick, with Sean, with a member of the team. Email, tell me more, reach out. Love to have a conversation.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.